Ukraine's battle to save Kharkiv from Putin's drones. Country's second-largest city has been under almost daily attacks since February amid claims Russia wants to make it uninhabitable. Kharkiv has been subjected to a wave of drone attacks as Russia intensifies its bombardment of Ukraine's second-largest city ahead of a possible major summer offensive. Since February, the civilian population of Kharkiv has been subjected to daily missile strikes and drone attacks, said the Times. Energy infrastructure and residential buildings have been Russia's primary targets in the bombardment. On Saturday, 8 people were killed and 10 injured when missiles struck residential buildings and a petrol station to the northeast of the city, said the paper. At least 7 people were killed after dozens of Iranian-made Shahid drones were fired on the city on Thursday, some hitting residential buildings, said the BBC. 3 of those killed were rescue workers who died in a double strike on a residential building after they arrived to assist, according to Kharkiv's mayor Ihor Terekhov on Telegram. Why is Kharkiv being targeted? Russian forces were successfully driven back from Kharkiv in the early weeks of the war, but it appears now that Russia's strategy for capturing the city is to simply blast it into submission, said the Times. Kharkiv has endured almost daily attacks for almost 2 months, with Russian propagandists calling for the city to be wiped from the face of the earth on national television. The city's proximity to the Donetsk basin and its position at the center of a network of railways means it holds enormous strategic value, said the paper. It is located just 25 miles from the Russian border, and if it fell to Russian forces, then Moscow would be in a position to encircle Ukrainian forces in Donbass. What is the situation in Kharkiv now? The drone attacks come in the wake of a massive missile assault on March 22, in which Russia destroyed most of the city's electrical substations and damaged the Zmivska power plant, said Politico. More than 150,000 people lost their homes in the attacks, and blackout schedules now instituted in the city mean residents going without power for 4 to 8 hours a day. Kharkiv has now suffered further damage in the recent drone strikes, with high-rise buildings, administrative buildings, dormitories, a kindergarten, shops, cafes and cars damaged, said the BBC. Most of Russia's drone strikes have been launched from the Belgorod region bordering Ukraine. Ukrainian forces have responded with shelling and ground operations in the region. The recent escalation of attacks on Kharkiv has led military sources in Kiev to suggest that Russia plans to make the city a gray zone, uninhabitable to civilians, said The Economist. While Russia's exact intentions are not clear at this stage, there are signs that Moscow is preparing for a major summer offensive. Kharkiv is one of several sites of a possible future assault, and while it is not the most likely, it has been heavily trailed in Russian media. Yet a military operation to seize Kharkiv remains a tall order for Russia, and its last attempt in 2022 failed spectacularly. Taking the city would require breaking through Ukrainian defenses and encircling it, which Russia is nowhere near being able to do, establishing air superiority, which is not a given, and winning a bloody urban campaign, said The Economist. They won't be able to take Kharkiv, but destroy it perhaps, said Denis Yaroslavsky, a local businessman turned Special Forces reconnaissance commander, speaking to the paper. We'd be talking about something of the order of Aleppo, he said, referencing the Syrian city that saw heavy bombardment in 2016. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky used a Sunday night address to call for Ukraine's allies to provide air defenses and further support as Kharkiv continues to be subjected to drone and missile attacks. It is quite obvious that our existing air defense capabilities in Ukraine are not sufficient, and it is obvious to our partners, Zelensky said. And the world must finally hear the pain that Russian terrorists are causing to Kharkiv.